Welcome back to Fantasy Football by Committee, powered by Flurry Sports. It can be tough to win a fantasy league on your own, but at FFBC, we will work together to bring home the hardware. Hosted by Zach Brunner and the rest of the Flurry Sports crew, we will give top-level analysis, answer your questions, and, well, go off on other tangents.
That was after I tried to get ChatGPT to admit that 9/11 was an inside job, but it stood firm. It gave quite a few solid points that it was true.
Welcome to Fantasy Football by Committee. The show starts in 3, 2, 1.
What's up, everybody? Happy Monday, as I get something in my eye immediately as we start going. Okay, we got 2 Monday Night Football games tonight, which means we have gotten 14 games, quick math there, of the Week 2 slate done. There's a lot of big injury news, obviously. We'll go over the trending players over on Sleeper like we always do. We'll go over some snap counts if you haven't seen. Breakdown of all the snap counts on flurrysports.org already for all 14 games so far. If you are not a paying member, you only get about half of them. But if you are a paying member, that's $5 per month, maybe $35 for the full year. You get access to a lot of stuff. That includes the snap counts and my analysis for them. That is very, very useful. As we saw last week for several players, right? We talked about Ken Walker, about a bounce back, but the big one, the poster child for the snap counts last week was Cooper Kupp. He led the Seahawks in snaps. He led the Seahawks, I believe, in routes as well for week 1. And he didn't have a catch. Everybody in the fantasy community was like, this guy's washed. This guy sucks. This guy shouldn't be owned. He's just going to get usurped by Horton or somebody like that. And we said, hey, look at his snaps. Look at his routes. Very clearly, this is a buy low opportunity, right? And he had 7 catches for like 90 yards this week. So his actual value may be somewhere in the middle, but when healthy, I think closer to what we saw this week. But we got the snap counts. We'll take a look at that in a second over there. We'll do the trending players on Sleeper. We'll go over some of the injury news, and we will go over some ad drop candidates. If you have any questions live, ask them in the chat, obviously. And we will drop what we are doing. We will answer your questions. We're here. Me, myself, and I are here to help you win your fantasy league. So any questions at all, definitely drop them there. Otherwise, if you're watching this after the fact, no biggie. It's all good. Try to join live next time. It's definitely a better vibe. However, you can ask your questions in the comments below, and I'll try to answer them. Otherwise, you can join a group chat with myself and other members by becoming a member. And that way you can answer questions, ask questions 24 hours a day. And I don't get as much sleep as I probably should, which means for you, good news for you, you can ask questions essentially any hour of the day, and I'll be right there. But let's start with, let's look at the snap counts. Look, this is the snap count article on flurrysports.org. So a little taste. Obviously, Quinshon Judkins was the big return this week, and he looked pretty darn good. If you want to become a member, link in the description. Go to buymeacoffee.com/Zach Brunner, or go to the article, click Buy Me a Coffee right there. Become a member, $5 per month. You got all these snap counts. You get nice analysis like this. I have, I think, for 7-ish games on here right now. But again, members on the Buy Me a Coffee platform, all 14 games are already uploaded on there, even the Monday night or Sunday night football game. And obviously the next 2 games will be put there as well. But obviously we got, the Austin Eckler injury. What's that mean? Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, very big disappointment. You got my thoughts right here. And honestly, like I said, in this, does it look like JCM probably leads them in carries going forward? Probably. But what is very obvious at this point is that they do not trust him in pass protection. Even when Eckler went down, pass protection, guess who's in there for the majority of it? It's going to be Jeremy McNichols. Would I be surprised if the Commanders go after a veteran? I list Jamal Williams here. Jamal Williams, notably one of the best pass protectors in the league, runs incredible routes as a running back. So if you want to replace Austin Eckler for pass protection and receiving, somebody like Jamal Williams makes a lot of sense. They could go for somebody like a Cam Akers potentially as well. Maybe this is a spot where Leonard Fournette comes out of not actual retirement, but he was definitely trying to come back to the NFL last year and didn't get an opportunity. Maybe Leonard Fournette comes here. We shall see. So what I'm trying to say is if I have Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, I'm holding him, and I'm trying to be optimistic about it. If I don't have Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, probably not overpaying to go get him. We have no evidence that he is going to be great for fantasy. You know what I mean? And if I miss out on him, that's okay. That's okay. But yeah, we got all kinds of snap count analysis here, obviously in that same game, or a different game, sorry. Dylan Sampson, Quinshon Judkins. This is going to be their backfield. They are obviously good at football, whereas Jerome Ford is not. He's not great. So Quinshon Judkins came back, made his debut. They said they were going to get him like 10 to 15 snaps. Ended up getting 19 snaps. On those 19 snaps, he touched the ball on 13 of those snaps. Looked good with that. I think very clearly he's the early down guy, and I think Dylan Sampson's going to get the receiving work. And I think Jerome Ford is going to be phased out of this offense. So I think that's the direction they're going. Harold Fannin, I have his snap count breakdown in here as well, including where he lined up. I think he will continue to see a lot of work. Cedric Tillman, I think, might be the wide receiver one there. Isaiah Bond, I think, as he gets up to speed, I think his snaps could increase a little bit as well. But yeah, lots of good analysis, lots of good stuff here. Like I said, to start the article, if you just look at the box score, look at the fantasy points, you only get half the story. And that's where the Cooper Kupp analysis came in last week. Just look at the snap counts, look out the routes run, the quality of their snap counts, all of that. Very, very important for the early season of fantasy football, because without it, you're screwed. You need to set yourself up. You need to get the good free agents now. You need to buy low on players now. Maybe you bought low on Cooper Kupp last week. Maybe you buy low on a Brian Thomas Jr. right now. I mean, there's going to be certain players that without a doubt, their value is going to rise. We know that. So go check out this article if you want to become a member. Again, buymeacoffee.com/Zach Brunner. Link in the description. Link right here in the article. Or you can scan the QR code on the screen. Wrong one. Like right now. And you can get everything. If there's tools and stats and analysis that I do not have or do not have plans to have, let me know. And if you want it as a paying member, there's a very good chance I will deliver it for you. I want this to be the best membership out there. I want it to be the best value. $5 a month seems like nothing. I want you to win your leagues. I want this to be a large, growing community. And I hope you give the membership a chance, because I think it's very, very valuable for you. Now, maybe we'll look at more snap counts in a little bit, but let's look at the trending players on Sleeper, because I think that'll tell us a good bit of the story. You know what I mean? Let's start with the most trending players on Sleeper Fantasy ads and dropped. Number one is Jake Browning, biggest pickup. We know Joe Burrow, turf toe, severe, left foot, which is better than right foot, just for planting purposes, but still seems like a minimum of 3 months he's going to be out, which stinks. Bengals finally start 2-0, and of course they lose Joe Burrow. What I will say is I like Jake Browning. I think he's a decent player. I think he's played well in the past for the Bengals as well to earn that trust. Looking at, okay, I was just checking the stream to make sure I wasn't blocking anything. Looking at some games like this when he started for Joe Burrow in the past, I mean, he managed interceptions a little bit, but overall he was a high volume passer. Certainly was able to make the offense hum, could use his legs a little bit. You got to love that. Or these are sacks. Use his legs here a little bit. I think he's okay enough to make Jamar Chase still good, to make T. Higgins still good. I do think the overall ceiling for those players comes down. I think maybe tight ends could end up picking up. But overall, I mean, I think Jake Browning can keep this offense afloat. However, here's the thing. And I think we'll have clarity about this before you have to get those final waivers in or whatever before it processes Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning. But the Bengals are contacting free agent quarterbacks at the moment, which means they're probably also contacting teams about backups. Less so that because the Bengals will be less likely, less willing to give up those late round draft picks just because they are a draft and develop type of team. But I don't know. Maybe we'll go over some of the top free agent quarterbacks in a video or something like that. I don't know who they would pick up. I don't know if they call a Ryan Tannehill or I honestly don't know. I don't know if there's a better option out there for fantasy purposes than Jake Browning because we've already seen what Jake Browning can do. So hopefully he just stays there. Would I overbid for him? Probably not. Is he just ranking the top 32 quarterbacks next week? Who do they play, I guess? They play Minnesota, not the best matchup there. I mean, he's probably somewhere in the mid 20s, mid to low 20s, probably mid 20s for quarterbacks. So would you overbid for that? I don't know. I'm probably not overbidding for that. But we should at least have news on who the Bengals bring in before you need to lock in those waivers, right? So make sure you keep that in mind. The biggest issue with Jake Browning, though, is he also has the same offensive line blocking for him as Joe Burrow. Who would have thought that Joe Burrow got hurt and kept getting hit by what we saw in the preseason, but what we've seen the past several years? The Bengals continue to be the Bengals. The Bengals bungle this situation fully, and it stinks. It stinks, but they get what they deserve, don't they? They certainly do. Michael Mayer is the second most picked up player, and this is because of Monday Night Football tonight, and this is good. I mean, I told you, if you have Brock Bowers, you better own Michael Mayer. There's no reason to manage other tight ends, right? If Brock Bowers goes tonight, sounds like he's going to, but if he goes tonight, you're playing him. That's who you want to play. Cool, great, good, grand. If he misses, there's few tight ends that I want to have in my lineup over Michael Mayer anyway. So if you have Brock Bowers, this is who you want as your backup tight end right now. By week 8, so it's not really coming up, middle of the season, so that's good. Matchups coming up where they can move the football. Chargers tonight, we'll see. Washington, they can move the football. Chicago, they can move the football. Colts, you can move the football. I think Titans are pretty good. And then they got the Chiefs, bye week, Jags, Denver, who, I mean, they just had Tyler Warren beat them. So if for some reason Brock Bowers is forced to miss extended time, you want Michael Mayer anyway. So it makes sense that he's the second most picked up player. If you have Brock Bowers and do not have Michael Mayer, I would certainly think about getting him. Zach Ertz is number 3. Obviously, all the tight end injuries, and I have been screaming and shouting about Zach Ertz going back to last season in terms of he needs to be owned. Again, was one of my favorite tight ends for this week. Was great. So with the Bowers injury, with the Kittle injury, with the Dallas Goedert injury, I knew I was forgetting one. Made sense why Zach Ertz was going to be a nice pickup. I'm glad people actually caught on. 90% of snaps on Thursday, 64 yards, led them in receiving. He's great. Zach Ertz is the most reliable receiving option in the Commanders' receiving core, as I talked about earlier in the week. So if you are in need of tight end help, Zach Ertz, I think, is going to be a steady, reliable option for you. Will he get a touchdown every week? Hell no. Will he see 4 to 6 targets every week? Probably. Daniel Jones, number 4 most picked up player. That's interesting. I mean, he had a good showing against Denver. Don't pay attention to the fantasy points on the screen. This is for Scott Fishbowl. So obviously everything's a little bit wonky. But I mean, shit, for my money, Denver is at the very least a top 2 defense in the NFL, probably number 1, but they are a top 2 defense. And Daniel Jones was sacked once. He rushed for a touchdown yet again, and he passed for over 300 yards. Great. I was saying how much I really dislike this Colts schedule because the Broncos are tough, obviously. The Titans are a tough defense. The Rams are a tough defense. And then he gets the Raiders, a physical defense in Arizona. He gets the Chargers tough, Titans tough, Steelers probably tough. So I didn't like what I saw from the schedule for the Colts for Daniel Jones. But I mean, you got Tyler Warren to throw to. That helps. He had a big gain from Jonathan Taylor, I believe, as well. That helps. But if you pass for 300 on Denver, you caught my attention. So by all means, again, Joe Burrow goes down. Go pick up Daniel Jones. Shit. Why not? Tootin, Bashal Tootin, is the number 5 most picked up player. His role grew obviously this past week. They traded away Tank Bigsby. He ended up playing over half the snaps. I think he's a great player. Obviously, he was on my college fantasy football team. Love him. Good receiver, decent runner. I think he's a really good player. So if something were to happen to Travis Etienne, and if Travis Etienne continues to see a boatload of touches and carries and snaps, it certainly seems like something is going to happen to Travis Etienne. He's not really built for a bell cow role. Weird that the Jaguars would potentially mismanage a player's situation. Right? Weird how that happens. Tootin's a good player to own if you're an ETN owner and maybe otherwise. If you have an empty bench spot, might as well own him. Ramondre Stevenson, obviously, you guys know I'm a Ramondre Stevenson fan, and I was very critical of Trevion Henderson, Trevion Henderson's role. So it was quite the week for Zach Brunner, I would say. But still, we know the Patriots like Stevenson. We know they're going to use Stevenson. He had a great game. He had a great receiving game. That was the shocker. That shocked everybody. If anyone expected that, they are a liar. Steelers next week. We'll see how well that goes. Obviously, Ken Walker just ran for 100 yards on him. I don't expect Ramondre Stevenson to do that, but he could still have a decent week. And then after that, he's got Carolina, Buffalo, New Orleans. Love that stretch. Romeo Doubs, number 7 most picked up player, 23% owned on Sleeper Fantasy. Packer fan, Packer analyst. If you have any questions about the Packers, I can tell you straight up exactly what it is, and that comes from me. That comes from people in the building. Very much connected with the Packers. Love Romeo Doubs. Continue to say Romeo Doubs is their most talented receiver. I don't know if you need to own him for fantasy. They're gonna spread the wealth out, even with the Jaden Reed injury. They're gonna spread the wealth. Matthew Golden should have had a big fantasy day. Jordan Love missed him on a couple big ones. And there was a play where he should have come to the ball a little bit that could have resulted in a touchdown. So opportunity is certainly there for Matthew Golden to explode. Romeo Doubs is great. Romeo Doubs' best skill set is adjusting to the ball midair, especially because Jordan Love is extremely inaccurate as a passer. So Jordan Love underthrows that nice deep ball. Romeo Doubs adjusts to it, typically gets his head taken off, and that's why he looks like a bobblehead out there. So how long will Romeo Doubs hold up? I'm not sure. Is he worth owning? Probably not. He's just going to be inconsistent. Who cares? Troy Franklin. If you go to the snap count article, I'm not sure if I have the Broncos in here or if you have to become a member for the Broncos. You might have to become a member. You do. But it's worth it. I'm telling you. I tell you what. That's my Hank Hill impression. Pretty good, huh? Week 1, Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims split that wide receiver 2 role. Week 2, Troy Franklin plays every snap, leads the Broncos in receiving, and looks damn good. And we know the connection between him and Bo Nix, obviously going back to college. We'll see if Troy Franklin has the trust of Sean Payton. He already has the trust of Bo Nix. We know his talent level. There's a real chance Troy Franklin is going to be valuable for fantasy football. There really is. And he's built more for that wide receiver 2 outside role than Marvin Mims is. Just, it is what it is. I think Marvin Mims is a good player, but if you're telling me to rank all the pickups right now, it depends on what you need, obviously, but shit. Ramondre needs to be owned. I mean, he should potentially be owned in 100% of leagues. But Troy Franklin, for my money, I mean, for sure more than Romeo Doubs, for sure more than Tootin, probably. I don't think you need to rush to pick up a quarterback unless you have a Burrow situation potentially, or Purdy. But there's so many quarterbacks. Like if you miss out on top quarterbacks and then you're like, okay, I'll settle for Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones is fine in that offense. I mean, shit. Shanahan's creaming all over himself because he finally gets the quarterback who he wanted in the first place. So if Mac Jones goes crazy, Purdy doesn't get rushed back. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think Troy Franklin is potentially my number one pickup. I don't know. I guess this kind of turned into just the pickups portion of this. And I'll get to your question in a second, Alex. I just clicked back in, so I just seen that. But this is turning to the add drop section here. There isn't a priority pickup this week. So it's very much what you need. And I don't think you need to overspend for anybody. At the moment, we still have 2 more games to play. However, Troy Franklin's up there. Like, he needs to be owned right now. He is very, very interesting to me. So if you make Troy Franklin your priority pickup, your number one pickup, I wouldn't blame you. I don't think it's a fluke. You know what I mean? So definitely give him a look. If you're hurting at wide receiver, maybe you were hoping to trust Stephon Diggs as your wide receiver 3, something like that. I think that's very possible for a lot of people. Maybe a Chris Olave, maybe somehow deeper league you're trusting a Josh Downs. I don't know. If you were trusting somebody to be a receiver for you and they're not performing, certainly go and check out Troy Franklin. Alex, thank you for the question. Should I trade Rashee Rice for Judkins and Terry or DK Metcalf? If you are thinking, first off, if you're going to be 0-2, yes. If you're thinking your team could struggle a little bit, yes. I think Rashee Rice is really, really good, but we are not close to his return, right? He misses 7 of the first 10 weeks. We're going into week 3. So there's going to be a ton of time without Rashee Rice. So I think you're probably fine to do the trade anyway. So the question is Terry or Metcalf. And you're picking 2 players I've been very critical about during my entire career. I'm worried about Jane Daniels. He's for sure injured. And DK, I think, could be a little inconsistent, but I still think DK is going to come around. I think that Rodgers DK connection's good. So they didn't play a ton of snaps this week as well. So I think I would do the trade, and I think I like DK Metcalf more than Terry McLaurin. I will do my rest of season rankings soon, probably going into week. I probably want 3 weeks of action first, so going into week 4, I'll do my rest of season rankings. There's been people who have put them out right away. If people put them out right away and they're really gung-ho about them, stay clear of those people. I want to put out something accurate and something that I feel is actually valuable. Rest of season rankings after week 1 tells me you don't know how to rank players. So after 3 weeks of action, I think that's a decent enough sample size. I'll start putting that out. As well as the trade value chart, I'll probably start putting that out as well. My trade value chart's better than anybody else's because of the different factors and variables that go into it. I promise you that. But this week, for members, the Opportunity Index is here. Opportunity Index comes out, and potentially the boom bust and consistency rankings will be available as well. But for sure, rest of season rankings are coming, and that'll help with those trade questions as well. But yeah, I'll do the trade. I'm a big Judkins fan. Plays Packers this week, so we'll see how well he does. But I like Judkins, and I think I would do the trade for either player. So if you prefer Terry McLaurin, big fan of Terry McLaurin, go ahead and take Terry McLaurin. But I think I would lean DK Metcalf. Other trending players, we got Matt Prater at kicker. Certainly some notable kickers, obviously, exiting fantasy relevance. We got Tyler Bass, who he replaced, is out. We got Younghoe Koo, who I think just got straight up cut, potentially. right? Doesn't say here, just says ruled out for Sunday. I thought I just read a news somewhere that he potentially could be done in Atlanta. But I mean, the new kicker they picked up had a great game, so never know. But regardless, that makes sense why Matt Prater is going to be an option. He's on a high-scoring offense. We know Matt Pryor's a reliable player. So if you need a kicker, sure. Who do the Bills get next week? The Dolphins. Prater's made 3 field goals in each of the first 2 games. I'm not sure if he's going to need to kick that many field goals next week. Same could be said potentially for New Orleans. I just think the Bills' offense will be good enough and be able to score in the red zone. But he's still a reliable option. Check out my kicker rankings this week. And then number 10, Russell Wilson. Did he erase what he did in 4 quarters of action with what he did in overtime? I don't know. But passing for 450 yards and 3 touchdowns, his offense was humming. I'm surprised Wan'Dale Robinson isn't on the trending players. You guys know how I feel about Wan'Dale Robinson. Love the dude. So I'd like to see, I guess, a breakout game for him. He's a great player. So I don't know how realistic that is. But Russell Wilson was balling. He was in his bag. He certainly exposed the Dallas secondary there. I don't know if he distanced himself any from Jackson Dart in this game, though. So go pick him up if you need to. Giants play who next week? The Chiefs, and then the Chargers, and then the Saints. So we shall see. We shall see. Anybody else notable to talk about? Juwan Johnson's a good tight end option if you need somebody. Kenneth Gainwell was used a lot as a receiver this week, more than Jalen Warren was. That's interesting. Tyquan Thornton, I think his upside is overall low. 5 targets, 2 catches, nice day. But Xavier Worthy comes back next week, most likely. Tucker Kraft, obviously good. Brenton Strange, very clear starting or every down tight end, really, in Jacksonville's offense. So need a tight end option. Brenton Strange, I think, is going to be used. Yeah, what's Wan'Dale's ownership? Wan'Dale Robinson goes for 142 yards, 8 catches, and a touchdown, and he is owned in 27% of leagues and the 20th most picked up player. Y'all are some haters. Wan'Dale Robinson should be owned regardless. And then he had 142 yards. What are we doing? Pick up Wan'Dale Robinson over Romeo Doubs. Okay? Why are we even considering Romeo Doubs an offense that's going to spread the ball around to everybody? And Romeo Doubs is injury prone, whereas Wan'Dale Robinson is very, very good. He plays opposite of one of the receivers who draws the most coverage in Malik Neighbors. And the Giants play 3 wide receivers. Like they're not even considering a 4th guy, really. They're playing 3 wide receivers. Go and pick up Wan'Dale Robinson if he's available and you need wide receiver help. Why wouldn't you? Why is he below fucking Juwan Jennings, Brenton Strange, Tyquan Thornton? Fucking Kelvin Austin is the 14th most picked up player and the most dropped player. What's going on? 1 catch. Everyone's like, done. Get rid of him. I knew it. People are dumb. Look at the snap count. Look at that. Look how many snaps he played. They'll be okay. He'll be okay. Everything will be okay. Relax. But yes, those are the most picked up players. That's probably who I'm looking at. You know? What else do we got? What other pickups? I did write down some stuff. I do have some injury news here. Quarterbacks. I think Michael Penix is a solid player. You could go pick him up if you need a quarterback. Jake Browning, obviously. Watch the news. See if Cincinnati brings in anybody who's going to threaten him for the job. Probably not. But you got pretty much the rest of the fantasy season with Jake Browning. Assuming he doesn't get hurt. Big assumption considering that offensive line. And then Daniel Jones. I think I'd take Daniel Jones over like a Trevor Lawrence at this point. Over a Bryce Young at this point. Go get Danny Dimes. Vanilla Vic. whatever you want to call him, lunch pail guy. Running backs. Bashal Tutin we talked about. He is certainly a strong handcuff, and he should see decent work each week, low-end flex week to week. But I think his role will continue to grow. I think he's a really talented player. And ETN, I think, will either need to see reduced workload or he potentially could be in line for an injury due to the workload. So Tutin is a strong pickup. Kenneth Gainwell, I think, is better real life than for fantasy. He's going to be used a lot for the Steelers, but you don't need it. By the way, if you own Caleb Johnson in a redraft league, punt his ass over the fucking mountain. Get rid of Caleb Johnson. The Steelers were like, okay, you're not playing offense because we are not going to let a rookie ruin this one chance we have at a Super Bowl. So you play special teams. You're not going to play offense yet. We don't trust you. And then back-to-back games with severe special teams mistakes. Obviously, this week, the longest onside kick in NFL history, basically. Doesn't recover the fucking kickoff. Seahawks recovering in the end zone for a touchdown. Caleb Johnson has no chance to be a fantasy relevant player this year, in my opinion. And boy, he's lucky he's still on the team. So for that reason, Gainwell and Warren are going to both be used a lot. How fantasy relevant is that? Not a ton, unfortunately. Blake Corum saw his workload increase a little bit. More handcuff than anything, I would say. Kyle Monangai, his workload went up. Roshan Johnson returned to the Bears lineup, and he didn't play a single offensive snap. Monangai actually went up in snaps even before it was a complete blowout. So I do think he is going to be worked into the offense a little bit. Again, let's be optimistic and say he gets 40% of the snaps in a competitive game. What does 40% of the snaps on the Bears offense do for you? We'll see. But I think he's interesting. Other running backs, I don't know if you need to pick up anybody. I think you're good to go. Wide receivers. Here's what I say. These are my two receivers you need to check out. Okay. One, Troy Franklin, who we already talked about. Troy Franklin, I think, has and will continue to operate as that wide receiver 2 in Denver, and I think he's really talented. Obviously has a connection and trust of Bo Nix. If he has the trust of Sean Payton now, good to go. The number 2 one, and let me look to see what his ownership is on both websites. Talking Sleeper and ESPN Fantasy. But this is a guy who may not have been drafted and or a guy who may have been dropped. I'm talking Jordan Addison, who has served 2 of his 3-week suspension now. And I know the Vikings have not looked good, right? No doubt about it. That was bad last night. But I think another pass catcher helps. Their offensive line will get healthier and better. Once Darrisaw's back, they were missing their center. Vikings will be okay, I think. And I think Jordan Addison's going to be good. Owned in 83% of sleeper fantasy leagues, so certainly dropped in some, I would say. And on ESPN, he is owned in 77% of fantasy leagues. So if you play, wherever you play, just see if somebody dropped Jordan Addison. He was probably drafted, but he was dropped in some of my leagues. So definitely go see if you can grab Jordan Addison. You just have to hold on to him for one more week of suspended play, and then he is back against the Steelers. Steelers, Browns, and then a bye. That stinks that he has a bye right away after the suspension, essentially. But out this week, Steelers, Browns, out. Eagles, Chargers, Lions, Ravens, Bears. So he will be good to go. He will be fantasy relevant. So those are my 2 guys. I would pick up both of them over Romeo Doubs, obviously. People are making a little too big of a deal about Romeo Doubs, in my opinion, as a Packer analyst. So I like him as a player, not for fantasy. Kyle, swap Mims for Franklin. Yes. Want to shore up depth. just dipped in. So behind, any interest in Wicks or not really. I think Wicks is more fantasy relevant on a per snap basis than Romeo Doubs, but good player. They're just going to spread the wealth around too much. No wide receiver in that offense is or will be consistent for fantasy this year, in my opinion. And that's the same thing I've been saying for, 5 years at this point, ever since Devontae left. And then Kupp, yeah. I mean, like I said in the snap count article last week and this week, own Cooper Kupp. He led them in snaps and routes in week 1. Everyone said he was washed and not good. I traded for him in multiple leagues, and look at that, 7 for 90, I believe. Will he do 7 for 90 consistently? No. Will he lead them in snaps when he's healthy? It seems like yes. So opportunity leads to productivity in fantasy football. Go and get Cooper Kupp. He can't be widely available. Is he owned in fewer leagues than Addison? No chance, right? Addison, 77%. Kupp, 84%. Was dropped, though, in 6% of leagues last week. So I guess if you're playing with a bunch of doofuses, go see if you can pick up Cooper Kupp. Might as well. This week, the Seahawks have the Saints. They have Saints, Cardinals, Bucks, Jags, Texans. I like their schedule. And they don't have to play the Niners again until week 18, so we avoid that. Love that. Fantasy playoffs of Colts, Rams, and Panthers. Not the easiest first two. I mean, Colts don't scare me. Rams, it's at least in Seattle, and then maybe Panthers for your fantasy championship. Gotta like that. Not too shabby. What else do we got? Oh, I was going over ad drops. So, yeah, I got a little distracted just because of the Jordan Addison rabbit hole. But, yeah, Troy Franklin, Jordan Addison are the top two. Alik Ayomanor, super talented. Wan'Dale Robinson, super talented. It's hard for me to get my mind around Wan'Dale Robinson just because I drafted him in every league I could. But I guess he's not really owned. So, yeah, go pick up Wan'Dale Robinson if he's available, obviously. Alik Ayomanor, he's a good player. They are spreading the wealth around in Tennessee a lot as well. So consistency may not be there this season. But if you are in a deep league, if you need some help at receiver, certainly look at him. Dontavian Wicks we went over. I mean, his snap count will increase and he's a good player, but no consistency. Kayshon Boutte, I think, proved that he is legit, has led the Patriots in snap counts both weeks. This week, only one target, which means he's not trustworthy yet. The one target led to a touchdown. That's great. But I think Kayshon Boutte is legit. And Matt Collins was operating as the wide receiver 2 this week. I think Stephon Diggs will continue to increase his snaps and take away from him. Not take away from Kayshon Boutte at the moment is what that seems like. So, yeah, he's certainly a long-term ad there for sure. A lot of people who picked up Calvin Austin will drop him. If you were somebody interested in Calvin Austin week 1, you should be interested in Calvin Austin week 3. Plain and simple. If you are in a league where having Calvin Austin could be good for you, he could be played at some point for you, then pick him up. Last week doesn't mean a damn thing. Look at the snap counts. Look at overall team snap count. He'll be okay. Jalen Coker, I suppose, is coming back in week 5, I would say. Eligible to return after week 4. Yep. Okay, so week 5 probably back, if not week 6. Hunter Renfrow looked pretty good this week for all Panthers players. Don't look at the raw fantasy points. Just know that their numbers were inflated because they played. Again, look at the snap count article, but I believe 83 or 84 snaps total without overtime. So obviously all of their values inflated because of that. Hunter Renfrow's looked pretty good. And because of that, it worries me that him and Coker will split the slot snaps. So If you are a person who was interested in Jalen Coker, have been holding him in your IR slot or something, just stashing, rubbing your hands, waiting for him to come back. Coker's a good player. Maybe he could take over for Xavier Legette as well. But if you have another injury and someone to fill that IR slot, I would be more than willing to trade away Jalen Coker. I think he'll be okay, but I don't know. I don't have a ton of trust in it, just in terms of I just don't think there's a pass catcher in that offense who is going to be trustworthy week in, week out, other than Ted McMillan. And I don't trust Bryce Young to throw 55 passes in a game, potentially any other game for the rest of his career. So that is another thing. Tight end, I think that's it for wide receiver. Tight end, Harold Fannin Jr. continues to play a ton of snaps. He's a good player. And like I said last week, he's used everywhere. He's moved around a ton. In the snap count article, I go over this, but he played half of his snaps in the slot. He played, I think, only 40% of his snaps actually at tight end. He was in the backfield a little bit. He was out wide a little bit. So the presence of David Njoku doesn't mean anything because he's playing alongside David Njoku in a different position. He is, I don't know, he's the wide receiver 3, if you want to call it that. I think he's useful. And he's really talented. So he's somebody you can certainly pick up. Brenton Strange is widely available. Zach Ertz might be available. Both of them need to be owned. Zach Ertz before Brenton Strange. Otherwise, I don't know. Chikakonkwo, look at him. Some people tell you AJ Barner. AJ Barner will be on the field a ton. I don't see any risk of him losing snaps, but he's a blocking tight end, and you're just hoping for a touchdown. Mason Taylor will continue to increase his snaps. No Tyrod Taylor or no Justin Fields next week potentially could mean good things for Mason Taylor. So if you need a stream a tight end or something, I think if Justin Fields is out, maybe Mason Taylor could end up seeing increased value. And then tonight we got a bunch of low-owned tight ends playing tonight other than Brock Bowers. So I would watch the Chargers to see if there's any more clarity. I think Will Dissly and Tyler Conklin are going to split snaps pretty evenly, but Tyler Conklin's a better receiver. So if you're talking who has the more valuable snaps, I think it's going to be Tyler Conklin, and he could end up being a decent deep league tight end for you, I think. In the same way Will Dissly was last year, except for I just think he's better. Kupp versus Franklin. If it's for your bench, it's Franklin. If you're looking to start somebody right now, probably Kupp. But in terms of who has more upside, no doubt Franklin. And if you're just picking up somebody for depth, I know you mentioned depth earlier, then it would be Franklin for me. OC, tied with the opponent going into Monday Night Football, full PPR start, Myers or Evans? That's tough. That's actually a really good question. I think Myers has the more easy targets, right? Like the ball gets into his hands easier due to play design. But Mike Evans is the big play guy. Does the big play guy continue to make big plays when he's old? I don't know. At this point in the season, I still sort of stick with who you drafted higher because you drafted them for a reason. I'm not going to overreact because of 1 week. So it's still Evans for me. It kind of depends on who your opponent has as well. Because I think Myers is a higher floor, lower ceiling. And Mike Evans is higher ceiling, lower floor. So if your opponent has somebody bad, like does your opponent have Geno Smith? Then I would probably go Mike Evans. Because you need to take somebody negatively correlated at that point. But if your opponent has Brock Bowers, I would probably go Mike Evans. So let me know who you got. I will stall until you tell me who your opponent has. And if your opponent has nobody, and you're just saying, hey, I need 1 point, please, then I would say Jacoby Myers. Let's go back to this snap count article. Half of the snap counts are there. FlurrySports.org, like I was talking about previously. Over 3,000 words. If you become a member, $5 per month, $35 for a full year, calendar year, not the season. Then you get access to all of the games. But you get the snap counts of the notable players. You get my thoughts on it. And it's been really useful for people so far. I will do this for probably the first month of the season, maybe a little bit more. Opponent has Bucky Irving and Dicker. So you need a big game. No doubt about that. You need to have a big game. So I would go Evans just because he has the higher ceiling. Because I think Dicker is going to be good. And Bucky Irving is a pretty damn good player as well. Not very good week 1, but you also have Nico. That helps. Okay. Nico hopefully should bounce back this week. For me as well. Okay. I would go. If we knew what Nico Collins was going to do, if we knew Nico Collins was going to bounce back, I would say Myers. I don't trust the Texans whatsoever. So because of that, I think I'm going to go Mike Evans. You need to have a big performance. You're hoping Nico Collins can give you that, but I don't have any trust in it. I hope you can get that from him. So I would go Nico and Evans. Yeah. You got this. Snap counts, though. Yeah, top 7 games I got here, and then you become a member to get more. And that is worth it. Not only do you get that, but you get access to a group chat with me to ask questions any hour of the day. You get that weekly opportunity index that comes this week. This includes red zone targets and usage, air yards per target, all kinds of stuff that tell you this player has the most opportunity to be good, essentially. And then you can figure out who's a buy low candidate, sell high candidate, who's worth owning, who's worth rostering for DFS maybe. Maybe you want to enter a best ball contest for the second half of the season or something. The boom bust and consistency rankings will help a lot with that as well. If you still want the yearly draft kit from this year, let me know and I'll send that to you if you're a member. That has a ton of data that's still very much relevant. And then if you're a member for next season, if you become that yearly member, $35, or if you just are a member at that time, you get the draft kit for free as well. So we sold it this year for $10. Become a $35 for a yearly member. That's $10 already counted. So it's like $25 for the rest of the year. Very much worth it. Very much worth it. And I do mean this as well. Anything else you request. If you are a member and you're thinking, hey, this would be really useful if we had this, or if you did this, if you did a members only live stream on this day, answering questions for us for this, let me know. And I want this to be a growing membership, a big membership, in the go-to membership for fantasy football to win your fantasy football league. So if there's something that you think would be useful, chances are other people would think it's useful as well. And I will try to supply you with that. So definitely let me know because I want you to win your fantasy league. So please, please, please become a member today. Click this and bada bing, bada boom. Are you a dog? You a war daddy? Become a member. You get all this cool stuff. You can say something nice if you want to, or you can go ahead and tell me to fuck off. That's fine too. I don't care. Then become a member and bada bing, bada boom. You will win your fantasy league. Easy as that. Don't be stupid. Become a member. Otherwise, housekeeping notes every week now. Okay. Monday live stream like this right now. You're living it. Look at us going over fantasy football news, injuries, ad drops. Tuesday nights, we do the ad drop show again. Not again, but we're actually finalizing it. Right now it's just sort of my thoughts spilling out for you. But Tuesday nights is the ad drop show. That's usually me and potentially other people. This week, though, I'll be at a concert, so I will not be doing it. But Luke Reimer, you've seen him on other shows and stuff, will be here Tuesday night to do ad drop. And that's nice for this week because you got my thoughts today, and then you'll get Luke's thoughts tomorrow. If there's any intersection there, look at that. That's gold. Wednesday night is Lombardi Sweep. That's our Green Bay Packers show. That's not necessarily a fantasy show or a betting show, but we talk about the game. We preview the game. We give you nuggets. Luke and myself are both in Green Bay. He has media access there, and then I certainly have sources there, as you guys have seen for the past several years. I mean, quoted on ESPN, you're welcome. I have boots on the ground there for sure. And if you have any questions about the Packers, I got you. We will be good to go there. And then Thursday, 1 hour before Thursday Night Football, leading up to Thursday Night Football, we have the Start Sit stream answering your questions. Start Sit questions, trade questions, whatever it may be. We're hanging out there on Thursday. So definitely do that. So that means we got something for you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then if you have suggestions for any other shows, videos, etc., we got that as well. This past week, I did the top revenge game spots, and I wanted to know if you guys thought that was good because I would do more of those. And so far, the consensus has been potentially no. So let me know. Go and watch that video live on the Flurry Sports channel. I think it's a good video. I think it's a fun video, and I think it can be useful. So go watch that and let me know if you want me to make more of those or if not. Does not hurt my feelings. I just want to know what you guys want to watch. Nick would like to thank everyone for underrating James Cook. Fair enough. The Vikings should have kept Darnold. They went with the quarterback that didn't even pass in college. I mean, Sam Darnold's no good either. So I think we're very much overreacting to J.J. McCarthy. If anyone thinks J.J. McCarthy's not going to be as good for Sam Darnold as Sam Darnold in his career, I think you're stupid, personally. I think Sam Darnold is not very good at football. I think last year he wasn't that good at football. I think this year he's not that good at football. And I think J.J. McCarthy has a lot of growing to do. So they didn't pay him $100 million after his playoff performance. Yeah, look at this Vikings team. This Vikings team would be fucked if they had Sam Darnold in his contract. They would be screwed. So Vikings, they were hoping they could hit the ground running and be outstanding this year, and I think they still could be very, very, very good. They have two of their starting offensive linemen out. They don't have their captain on defense playing right now. They got their middle linebacker out on defense right now. They had their outside linebacker out on defense right now. So, I mean, they're injured all over the place as well. But once the protection gets a little bit better, they can establish a run game on offense. They get Jordan Addison back in 2 weeks as well. J.J. McCarthy will settle in, just needs his confidence a little bit higher. Definitely a whirlwind week, playing on primetime, having a kid, playing on primetime again. He'll settle in, be okay. I think Kevin O'Connell is one of the best offensive minds in football as well, so that certainly helps as well. They just need to get him. This is the thing. And Kevin O'Connell's smart enough to recognize this. They threw in J.J. McCarthy and just said, hey, run the offense. And I don't think that works. You need to establish a baseline. They need to just run some very basic concepts right now, at least early in the game. They struggle. Last two games, they've struggled so damn hard to start the game. Just run some basic concepts. You have the players. Adam Thielen can get open underneath. TJ Hawkinson's not used at all. Justin Jefferson is potentially the best wide receiver in football. Jordan Addison is going to be a great deep threat that really draws coverage away and will open up the entire offense. But right now, just run crossers, just run some freaking slam bubble shit. Just run some very basic concepts and establish his confidence early in the game, get him in a rhythm. Because if you can do that, then you're good to go. And you don't get the Darnold hate. I'm just basing it off of him having a punchable face and not being good at football. In terms of as a person, I don't get the Darnold hate either. But in terms of a football player, he's just not it. And that's very obvious. He wasn't in college either. He was overdrafted. I mean, that was obvious. I said that on draft night. So, like, he's overdraft. He's fine. You can win 10 games with Sam Darnold if the rest of your team is really good. Like, the Seahawks don't have actual Super Bowl aspirations with Sam Darnold. Yeah, he's a product of fine. He's okay. If you think Sam Darnold is any better than Ryan Tannehill, that's probably a fine comparison. If you think he's any better than Sam Bradford, Kirk Cousins, I think Kirk Cousins is better than him. But yeah, Sam Darnold's just not very good. He's fine. Middle of the road, and that's okay. That is fine. JJ McCarthy, could he be middle of the road? Absolutely. If anyone thinks he's worse than Sam Darnold, that's laughable. Could he be better? Yeah. But yeah, 2 games, 1 good, 1 bad. We'll be okay. If you want to buy low on JJ McCarthy in Dynasty, I would welcome you to do that. I think that would be a great opportunity for you. But we are going to cut this up. We're going to be posting some videos. You think McCarthy's worse? I don't know how you could even begin to evaluate anything McCarthy's done so far. I love the overreaction Monday stuff, though. That's all it is. Like, that's fine. That's your opinion. But he's played 2 games in 1 week with a kid in the middle and a bad team around him, bad offensive line, and 1 receiver. So, like, I don't know how you could begin to evaluate anything we've seen against 2 blitz-heavy, pressure-heavy teams as well. He'll be okay. Plays the Bengals this week. Let's see. Bengals are going to try to blitz the shit out of them, too, because they don't have a good secondary. So, just, again, establish confidence, do some baseline concepts to start the game, and Vikings should be fine. I will be back. Well, Luke will be back tomorrow night for the starts or ad drop stream. Wednesday night, Lombardi sweep. I'll be back. Thursday night, we got the start sit. Rankings are up on Wednesday on flurrysports.org. So definitely go check that out. Subscribe, give it a like, and definitely come hang out, talk football more. Luke will definitely invite that tomorrow night as well. So he will see you then. Goodbye.